The Zanpakutou play a crucial role when it comes to the power system of Bleach. They're the perfect analogy for understanding and loving oneself, as well as being the main source of power that the Shinigami utilize. The Arrancar also wield their own variation of the Zanpakutou. In a way, the true worth of a Shinigami is defined by their ability to bond with and understand their own Zanpakutou. If they are successful at this, a Shinigami will typically experience a huge increase in power, one that makes the struggle well worth it. The concept of Zanpakutou is incredibly fascinating, and it makes Bleach's power system feel very unique. No two Zanpakutou are the same, and no two characters share the same Shikai or Bankai, which makes you look forward to the different release forms of your favorite character's Zanpakutou. During the serialization of Bleach, a lot of people speculated on the true power of Urahara's Zanpakutou, and even after the series has ended, there are so many unanswered questions when it comes to some of the characters' Zanpakutou, like the true Bankai of Aizen, or what the true power of Ichigo's Bankai is. So in this video, I'll be ranking the top 5 best Zanpakutou within the entire story. The main criteria that I'll be considering for this ranking will be for the most part sheer power and evolutionary potential, as well as the versatility of the blade. Now, either of these three reasons can be the deciding factor in the placement of the Zanpakutou within this list. So without further delay, this is my ranking for the top 5 best Zanpakutou. Before the video begins, only 12% of the people who watch my content are subscribed to the channel. If you enjoy these videos, then subscribe and stick around for more content just like this. Now let's get back to the topic of the video. Coming in at the number 5 spot, we have Nozarashi, which of course is the Zanpakutou of the incredible Kenpachi Zaraki. For the majority of the story, it was a blade that had remained unnamed, and even after its reveal, there are still many mysteries surrounding this particular Zanpakutou and exactly what it can do. But if you were to comprehensively sum up the power that it grants its user, it's a Zanpakutou that makes Kenpachi even more like Kenpachi. He's a fan favorite character for good reason, because he had absurd strength and power even before he had learnt the name of his Zanpakutou and had activated its true power. The reason that it had taken him so long to even learn his Zanpakutou's name was because he was subconsciously blocking his own power. After he gets rid of these limitations, he gains access to Nozarashi's true power, and it's more powerful than you can imagine. While its specific abilities are unknown, I believe it'd be safe to assume that it's a blade with extremely dangerous cutting power. Using its power, Kenpachi was able to easily destroy a meteor that was powered by Gremmy's imagination to be an all-killing phenomenon that no one could apparently stop. Thanks to Nozarashi, Kenpachi was able to even cut through the very fabric of space and to slash Grammy like he was nothing, despite the fact that the Sternritter had used his imagination in order to make himself invincible. We had even seen him use Nozarashi to chip away at Gerard Valkyrie's blade. Now, these powers could easily be associated with a Bankai, but when it comes to Kenpachi, he proves that he has unpredictable, insane power, because every feat that I've mentioned thus far was merely done with his Shikai alone. Upon activating his Bankai, his Zanpakutou is dialed up even higher. While its special abilities are unknown, what we can definitely confirm is that it increases Kenpachi's power to insane levels, so much so that he can easily overpower and bisect Gerard Valkyrie, one of the most powerful characters within the entire Bleach story. While Nozarashi isn't the most versatile Zanpakutou, it is in fact unstoppable, and its evolutionary potential is nothing short of terrifying. After Nozarashi grants Kenpachi the power of its Bankai, it's revealed that Kenpachi's body couldn't contain its full power, and it had started self-destructing as a result. This means that Nozarashi's power ceiling is far higher than we're even aware of, and it's likely going to evolve exponentially in the future. I hope that during the time skip from the 1000-year Blood War arc to the end of Bleach, Kenpachi has had time to actually refine and hone the strength of his Bankai, and I would love to see him utilize the full extent of his Zanpakutou during the Hell arc if Kubo decides to continue the story. In the number 4 spot, we have the Blade of Hellfire that has remained completely uncontested for over a millennia. I am of course talking about Yamamoto Gen Ryusai's Ryugenjaka. This Zanpakutou is truly unlike any other. It's one of the oldest in existence, and its power is clearly a product of centuries of hard work and bonding that is formed between the user and the blade. It wields an overwhelming power over fire, and it possesses flames that can incinerate anything and anyone. And that's only talking talking about its Shikai. Within the Can't For Your Own World light novels, it's revealed that the Shikai flames of Ryujin Jaka, which are powered by Yamamoto's spiritual pressure, are so powerful that they can literally kill the entire Gotei 13. There's also confirmation of this within the manga after Yamamoto had activated his Flames of Hell technique, in which both himself and Aizen confirmed that not only will they be incinerated, but the entire Gotei 13 who is within the vicinity of the attack. His Zanpakutou is also able to create cages made up of flames that can effectively steal enemies of Aizen's caliber, and yet again these are feats demonstrated by Ryujin Jaka's Shikai alone. When the Bankai of the Zanpakutou is activated, it doesn't just affect its enemies, but it threatens the entire existence of the world. Zanka no Tachi cannot be used for extended periods of time because it would eventually turn the world to ash. This Bankai bathes its blade and user's body in flames, which reach about the same temperature as the core of the sun. This Bankai can even revive the ashes of those who have died by the power of this blade, reanimating their corpses and making them fight for Yamamoto. Zanka no Tachi can also unleash an immense destructive slash that can obliterate anything in front of it. Its power is so great that practically no villain in Bleach ever wants to face off against it head on. Even the likes of Aizen and Yhwach had done all that they could to avoid facing off against its power. Aizen went as far as to creating a whole living being in order to seal the flames of this Zanpakutou, while Yhwach had to create a whole elaborate plan with a body double in order to throw Yamamoto off of his game. But unfortunately, raw power is all that Ryujin Jaka has going for it. It's about as versatile as having to choose between taking the stairs or the elevator. In the end, this Zanpakutou proves that it has multiple ways of doing pretty much the same thing, which is incinerating Yamamoto's enemies. This Zanpakutou has no real potential to evolve, as it's stated by Yamamoto that his Zanpakutou has pretty much reached the peak of its evolution, and to be honest, I think that it's perfect just the way it is. Unsurprisingly, in the third spot we have Zangetsu, the Zanpakutou of Ichigo Kurosaki. It's a very complicated blade that seems to possess extremely simple powers, because aside from Iko Mikidome, it is the only hollow Zanpakutou, and it is also the first and only Quincy Zanpakutou within the entire story. This blade changes considerably over the course of the story, but in general, the foundation of its power stays the same. In its Shikai state, this Zanpakutou enhances its users' physical abilities and grants them the power to concentrate their spiritual pressure into the tip of the blade and to shoot it out as a condensed slash of power. And when it comes to its Bankai state, Zangetsu does the same but on a much greater scale, as it allows its user to gain an even greater power boost by tapping into the hollow side. This gives the user access to certain hollow abilities like the Sero or Sonido. Now, I'm not delving too deep into the abilities of this Zanpakutou, as I've done that in full detail in another video on my channel, where I speak about the nuances surrounding how this blade functions, thanks to the two Zanpakutou spirits that reside within it. And since I'm only ranking these blades based on these said abilities and powers, I'm not going to be explaining too much about how they work here. Now, you'd notice that Zangetsu seems like an extremely basic Zanpakutou that barely deserves any of the hype that it gets. On one hand, you would be right, because Zangetsu doesn't really have any of the insane broken abilities that some of the other Zanpakutou on this list have, but where this blade actually shines is in its potential for the future. Now, first and foremost, the important reason is how its user Ichigo's power progresses throughout the story. This blade enhances the power of the user, consequently making Ichigo become one of the most powerful characters in the story. He very quickly goes from fighting small-time hollows like Fishbone D and Acid Wire to fighting and defeating literal gods like Aizen and Yhwach within such a short span of time. And all of this was made possible thanks to Zangetsu's ability to boost his power. Not to mention that Ichigo for the majority of the story had little to no interest in learning how to use his Zanpakutou's full potential. You could say that he had done the bare minimum, which was enough to give him power to even rival gods. And it's terrifying to imagine what Ichigo would be capable of if he had taken some time to learn how to fully utilize Zangetsu's power. The latent potential of Ichigo's Zanpakutou is touched upon during the Can't For Your Own World light novels, where a correlation is made between the Soul King and Ichigo's powers. It is made clear that Zangetsu is a hybrid blade. It possesses Quincy, Hollow, and Shinigami powers, thanks to Ichigo's heritage. Because of this, he has the potential to reach the same levels of power as the Soul King, and according to the data books, he had actually reached that level of power in his Dangai form, and respectively during his True Shikai and Bankai states. Yet again, the Can't For Your Own World light novels reveal another hint at Zangetsu's full potential via the character of Hikone, who is a hybrid being created by Tokinari Tsuneyashiro in order to be similar to Ichigo. Zanpakutou. Both Ichigo and Hikone exhibit powers and a rate of growth completely unparalleled to anyone else in the Bleach universe. They're able to fully access all the abilities tied to the numerous power pools within them, and they can even merge them together with no real repercussions. They're even capable of combining Shumpo, Harenhyaku, and Sonido into a hybrid traversal technique so fast that it seems to dilate time itself. This ability is also exhibited by Zangetsu, albeit on a smaller scale, like when Ichigo was able to combine his Gatsuga Tensho with a Gran Rei Sero. So it's very clear that if Ichigo and Zangetsu were to reach their full potential, they'd easily cross over to the top of the rankings of this video. But unfortunately, that is yet to be revealed. So the number 3 spot is as high as Zangetsu goes for now. We're all waiting patiently for Kubo to reveal more of Ichigo's powers during the Hell arc. Coming in at the 2nd spot is the Zanpakutou of everybody's favorite evil priest, Ichimonji. Ichibe's Zanpakutou gives us a glimpse at the powers that were possessed by the beings from Bleach's primordial world, and it really does not disappoint. It is in fact the oldest Zanpakutou in all of existence, and in a lot of ways it has become one of the building blocks of the existence of the Bleach universe as we know it. The reason that I say this is because Ichimonji is able to control names and the power that is tied to them. To give it some proper respect, this Zanpakutou seems to have originated the central concept of names themselves, the meaning associated to those names, as well as how these names are linked to various different ideas as well as people in the Bleach universe. Ichibe's Zanpakutou grants him the power to directly manipulate these names, and as a result it indirectly affects anything or anyone with a name. Ichimonji allows its user to halve the name of any being that is touched by its blade in its seal state. It not only takes half of the name away, but also half of the functioning power associated to that name. Whatever ability, whether if it's physical, mental, or spiritual, if it's the target of Ichimonji, it will be lowered to only half of its capacity. This in fact is a Bankai level ability that is being done by this Zanpakutou while it's in its sealed state, thus making Ichimonji easily one of the most broken Zanpakutou out there. In its release state, it gains the power to completely erase the names of its targets, which incidentally takes away all of the power and ability possessed by the enemy. It's a broken power that grants Ichibe an instant win, and most Shinigami will be satisfied with just this as their Bankai power. But Ichimonji doesn't just stop there, because in its Bankai state, Ichimonji has the power to rewrite reality. It is able to grant a new name to anyone affected by its Shikai. This new name grants the target the attributes and traits of whatever thing it's named after. Like when he had given Yuhobak the name Black Ant, this Zanpakutou possesses an absolutely terrifying power, and in general it has moderate versatility, because Ichimonji is able to do a lot of things outside of just simply killing enemies. But from everything that we know thus far, we don't know if it has potential to evolve in the future, because you'd assume that it's already reached the peak of its evolution, since it's the oldest Zanpakutou in history. Ichimonji is more than a valid candidate for the number 2 spot of this list. Now, in usual fashion, before I reveal the top ranked Zanpakutou in all of Bleach, I want to go over some honourable mentions. Now, these are Zanpakutou which lack the raw power or potential of the Zanpakutou that have made it onto this list. The first will be Senbon Zakura, which is owned by Byakuya Kuchiki. It is a truly majestic and beautiful blade with extreme versatility and deadly power, but it's simply lacking when compared to the absolute juggernauts that have made it onto this top 5 list. The next blade will be Shinji's Sakanade. With its Shikai, it has the ability to reverse one's senses, while its Bankai has the ability to alter the perception of its target's friend and foe. We do learn that the Bankai of Sakanade is indiscriminate, so it's best to be used in a one-on-one situation with nobody else around. Along with this fact, its Shikai abilities can also be rationalized and figured out, as demonstrated by Aizen during the Fate Karakura Town arc. The next honorable mention is Katen Kyokotsu, the dual-bladed Zanpakutou of Shunsui Kyoraku. It's a very deadly and versatile Zanpakutou that allows him to manifest children's games into reality, and it's a very risky, heavy power that suits somebody like Shunsui very well. But the power of this Zanpakutou struggles in the face of insurmountable power, as was perfectly demonstrated during Shunsui's battle against the elite Quincy Lil Barrow. Next up, we have Kisuke Urahara's Berihime. This Zanpakutou has the power to restructure matter. It's an incredibly versatile power as it grants him a variety of different abilities, like matter manipulation, healing abilities, and the power to enhance his physical capabilities. The next honorable mention goes to Tokinada's family Zanpakutou, Enra Kyoten. It possesses the power to mimic the Shikai abilities of any other Zanpakutou. It wasn't easy placing this Zanpakutou due to the absurd power and potential that it has, but because of the high amount of Ryatsu it takes to use this power, this is why it doesn't make it onto the top 5 list. Now the final honorable mention is a bit of a unconventional pick, but I feel its power was worth noting. This Zanpakutou is Iko Mikidome. Despite being stripped of its original power by Ichigo in the past, it is still a very dangerous and powerful Zanpakutou, as it possesses a variety of powers that still pose a great challenge to the Gotei 13 when they had faced off against it within the Can't Fear on World light novels. From creating an army of infinitely multiplying hollows to possessing infinite evolutionary capabilities, it is a Zanpakutou that's truly worth fearing. Now the number one best Zanpakutou in all of Bleach goes to none other than Kyoka Suigetsu. It's a Zanpakutou that needs no introduction, so instead I'd want to address the elephant in the room. I can understand why this is a controversial choice by placing it at the number 1 spot, but I want to take some time to explain why. On the most technical level, Kyoka Suigetsu is far more versatile than any other Zanpakutou that's made it onto this list, especially when outside of Ryujin Jaka's insane range. Most of these other Zanpakutou require to make direct contact with their opponent in order to have any effect on them, and as Aizen has demonstrated multiple times within the story, he can alter the perception of his opponents via complete hypnosis, making him attack a completely different target while remaining unscathed. There's no point in having an all-destroying Zanpakutou if you're unable to make contact with your target. Outside of its insane versatility, Kyoka Suigetsu has insane levels of potential that are only rivaled by Zangetsu. Aizen had only ever used his Zanpakutou for basic illusions, but during the war arc we learned that Aizen's Zanpakutou is still merged with his body, thus allowing him to cast multi-layered illusions that were able to even fool the likes of Yhwach. The extent of power that we've seen from Kyoka Suigetsu is limited to its Shikai. We have yet to see the Bankai form of Kyoka Suigetsu, and it's insane to imagine the ways that this Zanpakutou can evolve in its final release state. Aizen being a captain level character who has yet to reveal his Bankai, which gives it insane potential for growth. And this is why I've ranked Kyoka Suigetsu as the best Zanpakutou in all of Bleach. I know that this is a controversial top 5 list, but I want to know all of your thoughts. How would you rank the many different Zanpakutou in all of Bleach? I would love to know all of your personal top 5 lists. Do you agree with my take that Kyoka Suigetsu is the best Zanpakutou because of the insane potential for growth via the reveal of its Bankai? Or do you think other Zanpakutou like Ichibe's or Yamamoto's are more suited for the number 1 position? Definitely continue the discussion in the comments. And lastly, thank you for making it to the end of this video, and I can't wait to see you in my next Bleach video. If you enjoy my content, then you can support my channel through Patreon for as little as $1 a month, or even through YouTube by becoming a channel member. You will gain access to exclusive channel perks and a Discord server which I frequently use. So become a member of my Zero Division and be the first to know about my upcoming videos. And once again, thank you for sticking around till the end of the video, and whatever you contribute will mean a lot to me.